So since the news dropped yesterday about Halo Infinite not having Forge or co-op campaign at launch, a lot of people have had a lot to say. And I have seen a lot of people who feel 343 releasing a Halo game without co-op campaign is a really bad look. But on the flip side, you still have the 343 apologists. Now, I'm not calling everybody who isn't furious about the no co-op campaign and the no Forge at launch a 343 apologist. Yes, some people are more upset about this than others. My take on this matter is Forge not being there at launch is a bummer. If the Forge turns out to be incredible, then it not being there at launch isn't such a bad thing, although 6 months without Forge is a long time. So that's what gets me. The 6 months. An incredible Forge that isn't there at launch, a Forge that's better than Halo 5 that is added to Halo Infinite later on post-launch, I don't have a huge problem with. I mean, I don't have a problem with. But it not being there for 6 months? That's a long time. I mean, many people play Halo for the Forge and the custom games, and Forge is a massive part of custom games. So, I don't know, that's going to be a long wait for some people. And when it comes to the co-op campaign, yeah, that's just absolutely unacceptable. That's one of the things you gotta have at launch. You gotta have co-op campaign, man. Like, there's no way around it. Like, you gotta have co-op campaign in Halo, especially when the multiplayer is free to play, and then the standalone campaign is the paid aspect of Halo Infinite. And for the first time, we're paying for a campaign that doesn't have co-op campaign, which is just weird. I mean, for some people, it's a tradition to play through a Halo campaign for the first time, co-op. And not being able to do that at the launch of Halo Infinite is really going to suck for some people. And they got to wait 3 months. 3 months. And I'm just curious, because maybe another game like this exists, I'm not sure. But what other game has done this, where they've added co-op as a feature post-launch? I'm not saying it hasn't happened, I just don't recall any. And with Halo Infinite's campaign not having co-op at launch, I do think that will affect sales. I do. To what degree? I don't know. But I do think there are going to be people who were going to buy the campaign, and now they have decided not to because it won't have co-op at launch. I mean, Halo has really become a co-op game, a game that you always want to be playing with other people, whether that's in the matchmaking, the custom games, Firefight, sometimes Forge, the campaign. A lot of people hop on Halo to play with their buddies. And now for Halo Infinite, day one, people will not be able to play through the campaign with somebody else. It's just a solo journey. And for 3 months, and 343 said they're hoping to get co-op campaign into the game in Season 2, which is 3 months. And they said they're hoping to bring Forge in Season 3, which is 6 months. Well, they also said they wanted to launch Halo Infinite last year, and that didn't happen. And here we are now, this year, and obviously the game's still not ready. So who knows if they will even hit those Season 2 and Season 3 goals to get Forge and co-op into the game. I don't know. So I understand that there are some people who are absolutely furious about this, and then there's other people who are mildly bummed out, but they think they're still going to enjoy the game anyway, and maybe they don't think it's the end of the world. I do think not having co-op campaign at the launch of Halo Infinite is a big deal. The Forge, not so much if it's phenomenal, but then again, like I said, the 6 months is a long time. But the people that I call 343 apologists are the people that will just bend over backwards to defend 343. Listen, like, I put out a tweet earlier, I tweeted out, Halo Reach was in development for about 3 years and launched with 4-player co-op campaign, split screen, playable elites, assassinations, custom games, file browser, largest variety of game types, matchmaking theater, and improved Forge, most customizable firefight mode ever, and I forgot to add best player customization out of any Halo game. So I put out that tweet. Halo Reach was in development for about 3 years and launched with all those things I just named. That doesn't seem like an anti-Halo Infinite or an anti-343 tweet. Was I talking about Infinite? Was I talking about 343? You may have inferred that I was, but was I? No. Just kind of praising Halo Reach and all the content that was there at launch. And you got people flooding that tweet. Oh my god, you don't understand. It's so much harder to make games nowadays. The pandemic. Games are so much more ambitious now. Bungie, they had more time to become acclimated with their engine. This is a brand new engine built from scratch, which it's not. It's not. I'm not going to be too hard on those of you who think this is a new engine for Halo Infinite, the Slipspace engine, because 343 told you it was a new engine, but it's actually not a new engine. And they admitted to that in a social stream a while back. There's plenty of the Blam engine within the Slipspace engine, so they did not have to build a new engine from the very ground up. That is just not true. Stop saying it. So anyways, those are the people I call the 343 apologists. You're defending 343 or defending the state of Halo Infinite on a tweet that isn't even about 343 or Halo Infinite. Oh, well, I thought your tweet was in regards to no co-op or Forge at launch with Halo Infinite. I thought that's... You may have thought that. You don't know that. I was just praising all the content that was there at the launch of Halo Reach. So if you don't know something for sure, just don't even comment. Just don't even reply, or you're going to end up looking like an idiot. And you know, a lot of these arguments that people present to defend Halo Infinite, to defend 343... are some of the worst arguments that I've ever heard. Like, they're absolutely terrible, and you make yourself look like even more of an idiot. I mean, first off, it's a brand new engine, man. Like, they had to create a whole new engine from scratch, from the ground. You're just wrong. You are just wrong there, okay? Again, I know 343 told you it was a new engine. I think a lot of games say, hey, we built a new engine when it's not actually a new engine. But now, going forward, if you didn't know before, now you know. It's not a new engine. It's not a brand new engine from the ground up. And like here's one of the replies to that tweet. It was a quote tweet, and I just picked this at random. This guy says, Halo Reach was not developed as a live service game. Well, you know, many people don't even want Halo Infinite to be a live service game. Was not developed with the entire studio working from home. Do I even need a touch on that, or do we all understand that the majority of Halo Infinite's development was not working from home? Yeah, okay. Was not developed on a new engine. It's not a new engine. Didn't wildly change direction due to negative feedback from the previous games. Well, if they made that decision, that's on them, and that's also their fault for taking the previous games in the direction that they did. And his last point likely had some measure of crunch. Well, I think a lot of companies experience crunch time. It's not a good thing. Bungie experienced it. And again, Halo Infinite has been in development longer than any other Halo game. And I think people want to blame this on the pandemic, on the working from home, way too much. First off, many companies were affected by the pandemic, many game developers, and it sucked, but the show went on. And with 343, the game was in development for about 4 years, give or take, before the pandemic. And then they delayed the game an extra year, and we're still not getting something like co-op campaign? That's unbelievable. That's completely unacceptable. That's not good. Like, what were they going to release us last year? Last year, holiday 2020. What were they going to give us? what was what was in the game at that point? What was the state of the game at that point? I would love to know. So again, you can't blame this all on, oh, they had to work from home, because they had been developing the game for about 4 years before the pandemic, and then they got a whole ass extra fucking year. Oh, but they were still working from home that most of that extra year. Okay, but again, game in development for about 4 years before the pandemic, and then a whole extra year to develop. There's no excuse for a Halo game to launch without co-op campaign. I don't know how people can defend that. And they can't defend it. They do a terrible job at defending it. But these 343 apologists, they try their best. They gotta come in, do some damage control for 343. Even when people aren't even criticizing 343 or Halo Infinite. Like my tweet earlier, just praising Halo or Halo Reach and all the content it had at launch. And I get people, 343, you don't understand, man. You don't get it. You don't know what it's like to develop games now. They're more ambitious, man. It's it's pandemic, and it's... So anyways, that's gonna just about do it for this video. People throw around the term Bungie fanboy a lot. But I think there's also a good amount of like anti-Bungie people, pro 343. Like they got to make sure Bungie doesn't get any credit, and that's kind of what my takeaway was to an extent with my tweet that I put out earlier, where I'm just praising Halo Infinite for the content it had at launch, and you got people jumping into that tweet defending 343, defending Halo Infinite for simply praising a game from Bungie. Like, it's the weirdest thing, man. It's the weirdest thing. They waste no time to jump in and defend 343, even when they don't even need any defending, because I wasn't even criticizing them in that tweet, and then they do a terrible job at defending them. I don't know, man. It's like, it's as if they have no idea what they're talking about, but, whatever. Anyways, that's going to do it for this one, guys, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace out, everybody.